salute to you all. The brave never fall. While you're in life and you're dealing with life and you're feeling that you're lost, because that's a feeling that I think every person feels at some point in their life, if not multiple times a day. There's always a point where you feel like you're lost. There's things that are not happening in your life the way you would like them to. There are things that are happening within your hour of that day that didn't go as you had planned. And it doesn't mean things are going wrong necessarily. They're just not quite what you think they should be. And in moments like that, I always felt like I'm not lost in that moment. I'm trying to find myself. I'm trying to figure out what the issue is. I think prolonged feelings like that is what you can really put an umbrella term over being lost. That feeling of being lost. Like you've gone so far away from your path, there's no going back to it. That even if you wanted to go back to that path, you would have changed so much by the time you got back to that particular path. That path no longer suits you in your life. And that's perfectly fine feeling to feel like. I think that's something to really think about. Because when you get so far off of a particular path, maybe it isn't healthy to go back to that path. Maybe it's extremely healthy to go back to that path. It depends on what that path was and what it meant for you in your life while you walked that path. What did it encompass? What things did you succeed at when you were on that path? What was your biggest failures? How did it ultimately make you feel? And did you feel a fulfilled life and purpose while you were on that path? And most importantly, if that was the case, why, either way, why are you no longer on that particular path? We are always in a perpetual state of reflection because each moment that goes by, you can think about what just happened 3 minutes ago. And if someone was to just stop time and sit you down and say, how many things could you change about yourself or about what you did, or about the situation, the place you're in? You got 3 minutes. Just 3 minutes. Think about the last 3 minutes of your life. What things would you just change in just that little amount of time? When you break down life into small components like that, you realize just how valuable time is. And I think it's important to not dwell on those thoughts, but it's important that you recognize that those moments do matter. That you being on a path does matter. Now, the whole path walking journey thing it's really science fiction. We can't really see this imaginary lit path or whoever's path, because I have a fun time with asking people a lot, if you had a path, what would your path actually look like? Would it be cobblestone? Would it be rose petals? Would you be walking on air with really heavy clouds? What would your particular path look like? What kind of creative way would your path, if you was to start walking your path would fit you, so you could recognize someone's path? You would say that's Michael's path. If you don't know, my name is Michael, my birth name, even though I go by Tiger MJ and Daylitor Knight Tao. But if that was the case, I always felt like when I look down, I always see just a regular dirt path, a path that is made from the earth, because I feel like I'm connected to everything. So my path is very simple, just like I am. It's very simple. It's just a dirt path that has been walked and traveled by many other people, and I'm kind of following the footsteps of other people, but I'm also veering off and doing my own thing and creating my own paths as well that reconnect to things. So that's what I always saw. And if someone was to tell you, you're walking this path, how do you define your path? How do you define the success rate of it? It's like, are you moving at a healthy pace on your path? Are you enjoying it? Are there things you want to change about your path? Are you bored with it? There are so many things. Just because you're walking on a path doesn't mean that is the chosen one. That does not mean that. And I have conversations with people about the path. They say, well, I get on here and I'm committed to it. And I said, that's great. And they were like, have you ever strayed away from your path? I'm like, yeah. And I will again. That's life. The path I'm on right now, I can't foresee that far in the future what path I'm going to be on in the future. As I said, the path, you will get off of this path. There will be forks in the road. The path that you're on will end. It just branches off into another path. It's all connected, but you won't always be on this straight beeline path right to your goal, your purpose in life. There's always going to be twists and turns, and there's going to be times you're going to have to double back. And again, when you double back, are you doubling back towards something that's actually going to benefit you in life, or are you doubling back towards a repetitive, disastrous journey that, for whatever reason, keeps pulling you back in like a magnet and you seem comfortable and content with, even though it's not the best path for you? And on that path, you're going to add in people, places, and things, which all encompass a bad experience on that particular journey. I think when you break down things into its smallest components, and I've said this so many times, when you break down things into its smallest components and you start thinking about the next step you're going to take in your journey, how important is that step to you? And it's not about overthinking, overanalyzing. It's not about any of that. What it's about is you understanding that if you are feeling lost, because the people who have figured it out and they're comfortable and content, they don't really have to worry about this much. This is for people who are walking a path that they're confident in and feel good in, but they feel lost. They're on a path, but they feel lost. And then they start veering off of the path to the point when they look over, there's nothing there. They cannot find their path. There are no paths around them. Now they feel lost. That particular process did not happen overnight. That's a drawn out set of circumstances that has become to define you. And instead of running away from the reality of that, I always found it's time for you to face the reality of what is right in front of you, which is no path, no guidance, no purpose. You're feeling lost for a reason. But the good thing about feeling lost about something like this is that it can be figured out. But you have to be willing to dig inside of yourself and be prepared to face some ugly truths about your reality, about that comfortable path that you were on that you subconsciously veered away from and had no idea that you did. Why is that happening to you? It's not a medical thing where you can just go in and say, hey, can you give me a pill to put me back on my path? If it was that easy, my goodness, would I be the first one in line to get that pill? But it's a mindset. It's a mindset. That pill gives you an easy way out. If someone can hand you a pill and say this will always get you right back on your path, and no matter what happens, if you veer off, come back and see us. Now I say I'll be the first one there, but I think that's the form of me talking. That person that I was back when I used to be lost would have loved that pill. That little bit of aid would have been all the difference for me to keep messing up, because I have a helping hand and a little thing that I can take, and no matter what I do, there's no consequence. I'm going to always find my little comfortable path. It's when you don't know how or if you will ever find that path that's going to make you really understand who you are. How bad do you want it? Are you sick of that journey, that path that you were on, and you ready for a new one? Because this is where the fun begins. When you decide, I don't want to go back to that particular path, I might go to something similar, but that one, I veered off that one for a reason. I'm done with it. Let's move over to this new direction. This is where the fun begins. Because once you realize that, now you have a built-in purpose immediately. The moment you decide, I want something different, the path starts. You're going to look down. There it is. You didn't even realize you had already stepped up to it. There's your journey. There's your new purpose. Something as simple as making a choice to not go back to what was comfortable, normal, accessible. But there was something about it that you didn't even realize was driving you away from it. And again, that could be anyone associated with that path. That could be anything, any place associated with that path. It could be anything you think of, whatever it is, fill in the blank for your particular life and situations, you subconsciously don't want that life anymore. And now you feel lost. But purpose can be broken down just like anything else in life. And you don't need a lot of nuanced things and all these big flashing signs that says, hey, come this way. We know what your purpose is. Your path can be found very easily through a simple determination about what you ultimately want for yourself. The moment you figure, hey, I know there's something better for me, look down. There's your path. Just start walking that way. Start figuring it out one step at a time, one day at a time. Don't get ahead of yourself. Don't be in a rush, and don't get down on yourself when you decide, I think I moved a little bit too fast. I need to stand here and rest. There's nothing wrong with resting. In fact, I encourage it because that's where the reflection comes in. That's where the meditation comes in. You ever see somebody meditating and you think, man, they just seem like time is stopping around them? That's the point. You get to be free of this world. You get to be free of the world when you stop and reflect. I highly recommend meditating in any way you can find. Research it. Look up as much as you can about all the different types of ways to kind of get your mind out of this world, this reality, and without the use of drugs and psychedelics and alcohol. Can you do it with those things? Sure you can. But it's not enlightening. It's not healthy. And it's obviously not going to get you anywhere but where you were when you started doing that in the first place. What I love about meditating and reflecting on what you want and what has come before you and who you are in the moment is that in a lot of ways you can create who you are through which this sounds really crazy, but it through another dimension of maybe there is another form of you that could be. And why can't it be you? You start visualizing things that you want, you'll get them in some version. Now, they may not be exactly how you envision it, but I always say to people, envision big. If they're not going to come true the exact same way you want it, then think bigger than that. Think as big as you possibly can, and then say that's the goal. And you don't have to go and tell everyone, hey, look at this big goal I have. You can keep it to yourself. There's a lot of goals that I have that are huge that I don't tell anyone about, and I never will. Only the trusted few people who know me know about some of the big goals that I have. I don't need to tell anyone that. It's not a priority. The priority is for me to believe in it, not for other people to believe in it. If I don't believe in it and I'm not going to get it done, what is the point of me walking up and telling everybody what I'm going to do? I just do things. When it's time for me to do it, I do it. And until that happens, it's under wraps. It's quiet. Because I am trying to create something. I'm not trying to put up a bunch of flags to tell everybody, come over here and sabotage what I'm doing. You tell only the people that are going to help you with that vision, that goal. Companions on your journey. In every journey, there's always going to be a point where you're going to need help. And that's why you need to stop and reflect. Because once you do that, you start realizing the tools that you need to complete whatever it is that's going to ultimately fulfill your purpose and keep you on this path, and know what decisions to make when the path stops and starts to fork off. And you have to make some decisions. Do I go left or do I go right? Do I stay going forward? Do I turn around? You have to be prepared to make those decisions because you're going to have to live with them after you make them. You're going to have to live with them after you make them. And the path, if it's too easy, you might want to question that as well. Because any path towards purpose is not going to be easy. And that may be the reason why you veered off that path to begin with. Which is why having at least one companion is helpful. Which is why I recommend for some people, if you are really struggling and you want people in your life and you've done your homework and you've gotten rid of all the toxic, negative people in your life, people who have not benefited you, and you find yourself to be a lone wolf, which I have done for a long time, and I have a very small circle of people that I actually trust. I mean, extremely small, and I love it that way because I don't have time to wonder if I can trust people. But I am capable. I've gotten myself to a point where I am fine with being alone. Some people aren't. Some people don't have the strength. They haven't been woke enough yet to find that power within themselves to be alone, which is why I was recommending you definitely need to get yourself a life coach or get yourself involved with a mentor, somebody who's been there before you but has similar experiences that you've had and can motivate you in the right way. They're not going to hold your hand the whole time. They're just going to be with you for a little bit while they're walking their path because they still have their work to do. But these are the people who are going to have that parallel path with you for quite a while. They're close enough where you can have a conversation while you're both walking. And when the time comes for you guys to move in separate directions, that'll happen. Or you'll find that your paths will go on very similarly for a very long time. Maybe for the rest of your lives. That's what happens when you meet someone that you fall in love with. You have a very similar path. You guys are doing pretty much the same thing, but your paths aren't connected. There's still a gap. At any point, one of you two could go in different directions. And, a good relationship, both of those individuals know that. And sometimes that's where it's fine. It's perfectly fine to say, okay, I'm going to walk alongside this person for as long as I possibly can because this person is beneficial to me and gives me value and I give them value and we have a very strong connection and we're doing our thing together. There's nothing wrong with that. We're building a family. There's nothing wrong with that. It's encouraged. But you're no good to anyone if you can't figure out if you have to be alone for the rest of your life. You need to be able to know you can handle that. Because relationships aren't guaranteed to you. Workplaces aren't guaranteed to you. Money is not guaranteed to you. Nothing in life is guaranteed to you. You could find yourself alone at a moment's notice. Are you prepared to know what to do with yourself when that happens? My mind right now just keeps going back to the Lord of the Rings. It's one of my favorite I guess you could call it sci-fi, but it's just a fantasy. I'm sure everybody knows what Lord of the Rings is. And J.R.R. Tolkien is such a brilliant writer. And one of the things I love about it, my favorite one out of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, is the Fellowship of the Ring, the beginning of it, of that one. The Hobbit is the beginning, but out of the Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship of the Ring is, as a story, is very intriguing to me. And I've always loved it for one reason. You have Frodo. He's just an innocent hobbit living his life. And next thing you know, he is bestowed upon him a ring that has to go up to the fires on Mount Doom. And you got to basically save everyone from death. But you have to be alive to do it. And you can't lose yourself. You can't lose the path. And you can't trust anyone, and you need somebody. It encompasses every single thing that I've talked about so far as walking a path, which is why I love that movie. It's one of my favorite films of all time. It's in my top 10 of my favorite films of all time easily because of that little simple narrative. Sam is with him the entire time. They have a similar journey, but they are by no means attached at the hip to the point where things can't happen, because we see in Return of the King, Frodo is these are all spoilers, by the way. If you haven't seen these films, please stop this and go watch them and come back, because I'm spoilers here. When Frodo is getting consumed by the ring and Gollum is manipulating them, just think about this. Gollum is the tragic toxic friend who wants what Frodo has. He's jealous of him. He wants Sam to go away. Sam is the protective friend who won't leave him no matter what. Frodo needs help along the way to get to his purpose, which is to throw the ring into the fire. He has to try to maintain who he is by being deteriorated and manipulated by all these people. He's been literally going through hell to do this. And he's a changed person at the end of the story. He's completely different than he was at the beginning. But at the end of the movie, at the end of Return of the King, he gets in a boat and he drives off. They sail off to his next purpose. That purpose ended. Now he has a new path. He's a completely different person. He went through the trials. He went through something that is now prepared him for something that's probably going to happen to him that's even far worse than what he had already been through. Because you remember, everything that happens in Lord of the Rings that's what he experienced. That doesn't necessarily mean it was as hard for him that it would have been for someone else. But because hardships is relative, what somebody considers a very hard hardship is maybe just a cakewalk for you. And I found that interesting, and Tolkien is so good with paths and people's journeys and how they intersect and how things are connected and loss and camaraderie. It's just an amazing way to tell a story. And he has a quote from the Fellowship of the Ring, which is, "Not all those who wander are lost." And I've always liked that, because that simply means if you're a person who is wandering around, people will look at them and say, this guy has no focus, he has no vision, no drive, no determination. This girl has no reason to really get up and do anything. She's just kind of living and sucking up air, and she has no purpose, and she keeps making mistakes. And they do this to you. People will look at you and judge you like that. But what they don't realize is you're not wandering around. They just can't see your path. Because again, we go back to these individual paths. When you look down, a lot of times you are the only person who can see your path. Think about that. Most of the time, for most people, even if you told somebody, this is what I'm going to do, let's just take a microcosm. This is what I'm going to do today. If there's one thing on that list that somebody believes you can't do, they, at that point, can't see your path. Your path disappears. And that's fine. They don't have to see your path. You know it's there, and that's all that matters. When you stop worrying about if everyone else out there can see your path and you just walk your path confidently, eventually they're going to see that your path, regardless if they want to see it or not. It'll be right in front of them. Because everything that you do, they will have no choice but to recognize this person has a purpose, a focus, self-discipline, self-love filled purpose. And we can see the path because this person can now say, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and I know I can do it because I've laid the foundation to make sure that I have put in enough work that I won't fail. I won't have to hang my head in front of you and have you laugh at me or judge me about what I'm trying to do. I don't have to worry about that. And even if I fail, I'm still not going to worry about it, because judgment coming from other people, especially the people who are toxic and shouldn't be in your lives in the first place, they don't matter. What matters is if you're letting yourself down by not doing the things you need to be doing and holding yourself accountable for what you need to be doing, despite what's going on in the outside world. Because ultimately, no matter what anyone says about you, you have to be the one who lives with yourself. And that's what walking the path is all about. Even if you have partners and friends with you, there are moments you're going to walk long stretches by yourself. You may see them, but it's going to feel like you're alone because only you can work on certain aspects of your life. And as we head into intermission, remember, everything and everyone in this world is connected. What worries you about life enough where you feel like something could push you off of a path that you were actually legitimately and genuinely enjoying? A path that was, you thought, bringing you success and happiness and confidence, and you had all the boxes checked, you had all the things figured out, you had the perfect friends, perfect job, you had a nice car, things were looking good, you were comfortable, and you were happy. And it seems like forever ago since that was the case. And now you seem like you're feeling lost. You feel like you're adrift at sea, as if you're just a little tiny speck in an ocean of nothingness. And it's sad to know that life can be that way. And it's a downer to know that at any moment, anybody can drift into that kind of mindset, that kind of a fog that is so incredibly difficult to navigate through, where you have lost your path, you've lost your way. And along with that, because you are trying to move and get things going and things keep pushing you back, and the big boulder that comes out of nowhere and hits you in the back of the head happens, you start wondering, when is this going to change? Am I looking in the right places for my path? I always think to myself when I used to feel this way. I don't feel this way now, because I'm going to share with you why losing my path for myself, as we talked about before, but we're going to talk more about what to do once you do legitimately lose that path. And I always found one of the reasons why I would always drift off my path, and it seemed like clockwork to the point where I knew I'm off the path and I know exactly how it happened. I used to think to myself, well, if you know exactly why it happened, then why are you continually allowing it to happen? Why are you continually allowing yourself to keep getting lost in life? And every person on this planet, even though we're all connected, and this nexus, I like to say, even though we're all connected, we are still individuals. And as I said, even though you could have a very tight support system, you could have a spouse, a girlfriend, kids who love you, a boyfriend who's always there for you and he's pushing you and motivating you to do things. You can have the best job in the world. You can live in the best neighborhood, the white picket fence, dream job. You're saving more money than you could spend. All these things are happening, but yeah, you're waking up and you're feeling lost. And then other people will come and say the same thing to you. They'll say all those things I just said. Look at all this stuff that you have. Why are you lost? You should be happy and grateful for everything that you have. That's bullshit. Because none of that stuff defines you as a person and with making you feel as if you're lost. A person who's feeling lost is lost. End of sentence. Period. If you feel like you are lost, you are lost. Going back to movies again, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. Anakin Skywalker is my favorite Star Wars character. And he says in Revenge of the Sith, again, spoilers, if you haven't seen these films, I apologize. The Brave Never Fall is not a film review, but I love films. And so film references often find their way into these podcasts, especially these longer ones, because I have time to reflect and I can give a perspective on something that is profound enough where they make themselves into films for a reason, because they resonate with billions of people. So I think it's important that we talk about some of those films because they do resonate with people, and they wouldn't be in films if they didn't. And Anakin Skywalker says to his wife Padme, and Anakin Skywalker is the chosen one. He is Darth Vader before he's Darth Vader at this point. He's just a Jedi, but he's been manipulated by the dark side Sith Lord Emperor Palpatine, or Senator Palpatine in this particular movie. And he's also been manipulated by the Jedi, who are trying to get him to spy on his friend, who is Senator Palpatine. And he's feeling like the Jedi, because he is the chosen one, he feels like the Jedi aren't teaching him everything because they don't want him to be too powerful, or it makes them look bad, or he might use his powers to go to the dark side. And the senator, on the other hand, Senator Palpatine, is telling them the Jedi aren't helping you. There's things out there you could be learning. I could help you with that. All you got to do is come over to the dark side. And he says to his wife, Anakin says, his wife who's pregnant with twins, I feel lost. And she says, what do you mean? And he says in the movie, something's happening. I'm not the Jedi I should be. I want more, and I know I shouldn't. And I've always loved that line. Something's happening. I'm not the Jedi I should be. Now you can take that word Jedi and insert your name there as a person. I'm not the person I should be. I want more, and I know I shouldn't. That line always made me shake my head with agreement to how I would always feel when people would tell me, you should be grateful for this, and you should do this, and you should do that, and why didn't you do this, and why haven't you done that? You remember you failed at this. I remembered I let too many people get inside of my head, get inside of my heart, mess with my soul, my spirituality, put me in situations. I shouldn't say make me, because they didn't make me do anything. Put me in a vulnerable state where I trusted them enough, where I was letting my body get out of control and balloon up. These are all things that I think about when people tell you, you're on the right path. What are you talking about? No one knows if you're on the right path, ultimately, except you. Because the path is not a short little excursion into the wilderness. It's not a hike and then you come back and reflect on it. A path is an ongoing trek that you're going to be on for the rest of your life. It is one connected trek. You're going to move off in different directions, but it's lifelong. So how can somebody tell you in the middle of your life or the beginning of your life or even towards the end of your life that you should have done this and you should have done that? They haven't walked every single day of your life in your shoes with your memories, your feelings, your spirituality. They haven't felt what you felt in this world. Everybody's different. No one has the right to tell someone else they should do this and this and this on their path. What you should do is whatever brings you the most self-love, self-worth, empowerment, and makes you feel like you're the best version of the person you can be. Because we all have to work with the parameters that are us. Not everybody is a model and can go out and go become a supermodel. Not everyone's an athlete. Not everyone's a musician. Not everyone's a writer. Not everyone's a preacher. Not everyone's a politician. We're all different. We're all different. You have to work with what you have. But you were given a gift the moment you were conceived. What you have is extremely unique and special and original. And that's something I've been really harping on lately is embracing and empowering yourself to know that you are a unique individual. You are a unique, special person because you are alive. It is up to you to determine whether or not that has value. Not to everyone else, but to yourself first. You won't be valuable to anyone if you don't love yourself. You can't blame anyone for how much love you have for yourself. That is entirely on you. Entirely on you. It doesn't matter what happened to you in the past. It's over. You have to pick up the pieces. Life is hard. Things happen. Things you'll never forget. No one's asking you to forget them. You should be asking of yourself to take whatever those hardships were and turn them into something positive. That's exactly what I'm doing right now. The fact that you're listening to my voice is me turning a lifetime of hell into something positive that I can share with other people. My power to help people, to want to connect people, to see the good in people and avoid the toxic people, and inform people about people who are toxic and manipulators and narcissists, but also to pick up the people who don't know any better. You want to know an easy way to find purpose? I always said is just help somebody. That's purpose fulfilled right there in that moment. The moment you help anyone, you fulfill the purpose. The moment you look in the mirror and you're satisfied and content with who you are, that's purpose. That's the beginnings of that's a foundation. Again, laying down the perfect brick. Will Smith says this. I say it in every podcast practically. You want to lay down the perfect brick to build a wall. You don't start off by saying, I want to build the perfect wall. You start off by saying, I want to lay down the perfect brick. And in time, you will get the wall. When you get off track and you feel disoriented in this world and you look down and that path is not there, don't start looking all around for help. Start with yourself. I've said that a lot, and it's very important. And that's how I got out of it. I got out of being lost, and I was lost for a long time. I don't think I had a path for probably 2 decades. I had little glimpses of a path, and I would jump on it, and then I would get to a fork in the road, and I would take the wrong way. Or I would be parallel with someone that I thought was good for me and perfect for me and mirrored me and would, in every single way, be a person that I would go very far with on a path that was positive. I had a positive outlook about this. And it will lead you right off that path, right into a fog, and eventually right into darkness. You cannot always foresee that coming. And that's why it's so damn important that you know and you prepare yourself for the unexpected, because it's going to happen. That person could pass away for no reason at all. That person's gone. What are you going to do now? You have to prepare yourself to be alone. It's all about you. It's all on you. It's great to have these people. It's great to have that money, that dream job, go on that dream vacation. It's great to have all that stuff. It means nothing if you have no self-love. If you're not happy with yourself, all that means nothing. You can take the best vacations. You can eat the best foods. You can have the best friends, go to the best parties, get the best clothes. You could be on social media getting thousands and thousands of likes and followers. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything if you are uncomfortable and crawling in your skin every day because you know there are things you're not doing and you're blaming other people. Going back to Anakin Skywalker, his downfall into becoming Darth Vader is that he got manipulated by other people so much from all sides that he lost sight of who he was and ultimately became a monster. But what's great about this character and why he's my favorite character of all time is that he redeemed himself. He redeemed himself. He went back to that. He doubled back and saw his purpose, and that was to save his son when he threw the Emperor down the shaft when the Emperor was trying to turn his son basically into who his father was, who Darth Vader was. He was trying to turn Luke Skywalker into a new Darth Vader. In that point in time, Anakin Skywalker, who used to have self-love, it returned to him, and he did the right thing. He tossed the evil away. He tossed the toxic person away. He instantly regained his path, and he became a legend. And this was the most vile monster you could ever think of for decades. And he does something to save one person. There was no one else in that throne room but 3 people. The good, the evil, and the neutral guy who had to make a choice. And he chose his son, self-love, and he made the right choice for himself first. Even though his son was there, he ultimately made the choice for himself. He remembered who he was. You can't make a choice like that without knowing who you are. You have to block out all the other things in life that can distract you, because that is one of the big components of losing sight of who you are and where your path is. And that's a whole nother subject, because who you are does go along with your path. We're just talking about if you know who you are and you're just losing sight of where your path is. When you get off course, you have to figure out what type of path you would like to have. That's going back to meditation and manifesting and creating and reinventing yourself as a unique and original person. Because who you are right now is who you are. There's going to be another unique, original version of yourself maybe a few days from now. You are always one step away from being completely different. Every time you walk anywhere, path or not, you are one step closer to becoming a completely different person. There's quotes out there all the time where they say there's only, if you're living in the moment, you're never going to stay the same. You're either going to get worse or you're going to get better. I truly believe that. Now, there's ebbs and flow, but if you think about it, when you're in the moment, right now, if you just think about where you're at, things are either going to get better for you or they're going to get worse for you based on your decision making. Because you can instantly make the decision right now to say, I'm going to do A, B, and C. And that's going to pull me over to the positive direction that gives me an opportunity to do positive things. Or I'm going to get up and do X, Y, and Z. I know they're bad. I know where they could potentially take me, but I'm going to give that a shot anyway. Neither one of those scenarios are good scenarios if you don't trust in yourself. Because even with the positive side of it, it could lead to negative things. That's why knowing who you are in the moment is so important. Trying to figure out things that could potentially happen to you, the eventual situations that are going to be happening. Every time you wake up, there are so many things that can happen to you throughout the day, which is why I always say to someone when they say they have a bad day, I'm like, well, are you about to go to bed right now? And they said, no, I'm going to go to bed in a couple hours. I'm like, okay, well, tell me tomorrow morning if you had a bad day. Then, well, I'm telling you I had a bad day. I'm like, no, you didn't. Because tomorrow morning, I guarantee you, if I ask you, did you die? Did someone else die? Because that's a bad day. Did you crash your car through a wall? Did your house burn down? Those are bad days. I think you have to, it's the same thing like being like infatuation and love. When somebody meets someone on a date for the first time and they fall in love instantly, and then 2 weeks later you ask them, hey, what happened to that person? Oh, they're gone. I thought you said you were in love with her. She got boring on me. You weren't in love. So it's the same thing about having a bad day. It's relative. You'll know when you're having a real bad day. You'll know. Your body will be different. Your mind will be different. You'll know this is a real bad situation. This is bad. This is gonna change me. Now, is bad as a tragedy? No, it's not. But I would say a tragedy is when something happens to you in your life where you are incapable of even living the lifestyle you want to live. I've seen that end of that spectrum. Tragedy is when people lose limbs, when people are in comas, when people get cancer, when people have non-reversible injuries and illnesses, people who have Alzheimer's and dementia. I've worked with Alzheimer's and dementia patients for years. And I'm telling you, those are tragedies. Those are bad. Those people are living bad days every second of their life, sometimes for decades. You have to put things in perspective. My son was born early and was in the NICU, the NICU, for 4 months when he was born, and he was not looking good there for a while. I lived bad days, just literally a bad day every single day for probably close to a year, because even when he got out of the hospital, he still wasn't out of the woods. And I look back on it, as a whole, it wasn't a bad time period because he survived and he's doing well. You can't even tell it happened. But in the moment, those were some bad days. Excuse my language, but those days were fucked up. They fucked me up like nobody's business. And it took me a long time to deal with that. And it led me, the emotions I had with that, led me into directions where I had to cope with them. And I coped with them in all the wrong ways you could think of, believe me. And that's a podcast for another day. But you can't mask this stuff. Your path is your path. And I wasn't equipped at the time. If I could go back in time and tell my younger self, I've said this before, but I would just tell, I wouldn't say how to make money or anything. I would say, would you please stop going out so much and start strengthening your mind? Start feeling, because I'm an empath, start feeling your emotions more and trusting your intuition more and getting in touch with your heart. Here's a book. It's called The Tao Te Ching. This is something that I think you definitely need to read. And I know you want to be a boxer and you're a musician, but here, take these shoes. These are running shoes. And go out and just run a mile once a week to start off. And just try to keep all those in a box. That's what I would tell myself. Unfortunately, we don't have time machines. We can't go back and do that. But I know now, okay, look what happened to me when I wasn't prepared and I didn't know myself and I didn't know who I was. I went through a period where, yes, it was out of my control what happened to my son in those circumstances. But even when he got out, I allowed that situation to mess with me so much that for years and years and years after that, it put me down a spiral where I was just making bad decision, wrong decision, one after another. I didn't know who I was. I allowed that situation to break me. And I allowed people during that time period, it was about a 10-year period, to break me. People I trusted let me down, stabbed me in the back. Jobs I wanted let me down. I started blaming everyone. I started being manipulated by people. And I allowed it to just get out of control. But I can tell you one thing, it didn't knock me down forever. The brave never fall. I'm still standing here. And that's what walking your path is all about. When you lose sight of your path, when your purpose and your path is lost, and you start asking yourself, what now? What now is, look down and ask yourself a question. Who am I? And while you're looking down, that path is going to materialize right beneath your feet, because that's all the purpose you need, is just trying to figure out who you are. Trying to figure out who the best version of yourself is. Getting all the self-love for yourself you possibly can. Empowering yourself to go out and give all of your value to the world. Or you can do whatever it is that makes you comfortable, because that's your right as a person. You don't have to go out and blow people's socks off and do all these miraculous things. You do whatever makes you happy and content. As long as you're not hurting anyone, there's nothing wrong with that. You live your life. You live your life because you deserve to have the opportunity to be the person you are. Because again, you are unique and you are original and you are special because you were created. You're here. You're here for a reason. Share that with the world. Share that with the ones closest to you. But most importantly, share that with yourself, because it always will start with you. If no one has told you this today, I love you. You deserve to hear that. Salute to you all. The brave never fall.